This is Ion Sullivan. Happy holidays, everybody. I am your host, Mike McGuire, joined today as we are each week by the chairman, Rob Doherty. Good morning, Rob.
Hey, how are we doing today, Mike?
We are outstanding. It's a little chilly outside.
Oh, it's good weather.
A little snowy, but this is the season.
It is December, upstate New York.
It's December in upstate New York. It's cold. Mike Taylor is busy keeping people's chimneys full.
We've had 2 snows now.
2 snows. And here in Liberty, we just get snow.
Yeah, well, the airport, that's where the snow is measured for the county, generally gets about 156 inches a year.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of people will be like, oh, it didn't snow that much this year. But you have to remember, maybe it snowed back in January and February and you forgot all about it. Right. That's how it usually works. So
I got up this morning and it was snowing again, but just a dusting, just enough that you have to clean the cars off and clean the driveway off.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's cold in the Catskills because it's December, but the season now in the world of county government is the budget.
So they've had, I believe, 2 public hearings on the budget. Mm-hmm. It's all it's everywhere. You look on Facebook, you look in the newspapers, you look everywhere. I mean, it's the hottest topic in the county right now because this legislature, all the people that we could work with, have broken the tax cap, and then
Now, when's the last time the county broke the tax cap?
So the last time the county broke the tax cap was the legislature before me, their first year.
Okay, so we're talking about 4 and 3 is 7 and 2 is 9 years.
Yeah, 9-10 years ago.
And how frequently did you consider breaking the tax cap?
So, as you know, Mike, you were there, and so Ira brought it up one time, and I said, that's not happening.
It was a short discussion.
Correct. That's not going to happen. As long as I'm sitting in this chair, we will not break the tax cap.
And you were correct.
And I was correct.
Because as long as you were sitting in the chair, we didn't.
We did not. In fact, we had 2 negative years. Mm-hmm. The COVID year, we went to the cap. We didn't break it. We went up to the cap, which was 2 and change, 2.56, I think it was that year. And then we had 2 negative years. We got rid of 2 taxes early. The boondoggle of the garbage tax from before. And then we wound up 4-year total. A 3.89.
And the garbage tax was just another way of hiding an increase in your property taxes.
Oh, that's
they just
all
hit
it
you
was.
with another tax, but they spread it out so they think people aren't going to notice.
Correct, and we ended that 5 years early.
Right.
So, we also built up, when I came in, we had $14 million
fund balance,
and we built that up to $87 million, I believe it was.
Which may be the reason that there was not a tax cap issue in this legislature's first budget, because they had your fund balance to play with, which is reckless.
Well, in this budget, so they're whacking you with a 9.1 percent increase, okay? They're using $5.5 million of the money my legislature. Now remember, all these guys demagogued me. Okay, I was the bad guy.
Right.
I was the boogeyman. Okay, because let's remember, they were like, "Oh, Rob's always fighting." Yeah, I'm fighting to stop this.
Right.
This is exactly what I was fighting for.
And it was often a tough fight.
Correct.
Because you see how anxious the Dems are to raise the taxes.
Let me tell you. We would get into arguments constantly, and they were always about money, okay?
Right.
And
kind of like a bad marriage.
Kind of like a bad marriage, right? As soon as the bills come in, love goes out the window, right? So
Can't afford both.
You can't afford both. So my argument always was that we have to live within our means. That was my argument day in and day out.
That's radical.
I know. But now, this is where the lie comes in. I just want you to understand the lie. So they're saying, because they were at the highest level of sales tax ever at $80 million.
Right.
Okay. Which is the highest amount we've ever had. And they budgeted off of that. Okay. Which is reckless.
Of course
I
it
would
is.
never go off of peaks. Okay. I would calm that down by, probably 10%.
Well, to do that, though, you have to be able to track trends.
Correct.
And that's something that I used to watch you do, and people would criticize. You think you can look 2 years in advance?
Correct.
You better be able to look 2 years in
better be
advance.
able to.
Because there are ebbs and flows in everything. In your business, in my business, in county government,
Correct.
there's ebbs and flows.
Correct.
So if I have a great year and I build my budget off that great year, the likelihood is you're not going to get two of those back to back.
Correct. So we never use fund balance to balance our budget.
Which, of course not. You can never do that.
Because we didn't have any. I mean, you have to remember that also. See, one of the things people forget about, we also put into a fund $34.2 million so that the county would have 2 months worth of operating, monies.
So they didn't have to do those short-term
So you have to do
TANs
those
and RANs.
Do those TANs and RANs. And God forbid we have another 2008. God forbid we have another COVID situation. You have to remember that when everything's shut down, when your state government's paralyzed and your federal government's paralyzed, you're not getting money. So you're sitting there with no money to operate.
Right.
Okay? So we have that money put away that my legislature did. Okay?
And that was at the request of the treasurer, who said we need this, so that our audience knows a TAN is a tax anticipatory note and a RAN is a revenue anticipatory note.
Correct.
What happens is they're short-term loans because tax bills go out in January, the checks come in February and March, most of them. But yet payroll has to be made, heat has to be produced, and electric has to be on in January, February, and March.
Correct.
So you do these tax anticipatory notes. They're short-term notes.
But they're expensive, Mike.
And they're expensive. It's, when you need money, you got to pay for it.
So why am I going to pay $1.15 for something that I could pay $1 for?
And that's exactly was your point.
Right. So when you're on a $300 million budget, okay, that 15 cents starts getting very expensive.
Well, it does. And to many people, it's routine. It's almost like the person that goes out and wants to buy something and slaps their credit card down, not because it's something that you absolutely need, but, you want. And that's what a TAN does. You say, well, I don't really have the money for that now, but I'll slap down the proverbial credit card, and you pay for that.
Correct. There's a cost. I mean, like I don't know if you have an Apple Card, but on the Apple Card, they tell you what you're paying. I mean, they tell you flat out.
Right.
Other ones, they kind of tell you. The Apple Card, I mean, I believe that's put out by Goldman Sachs.
It is.
They flat out tell you this is what you're paying. If you pay this much, you're saving this much, and it goes down the line.
And when you're getting a TAN or a RAN, the one thing the lender knows is you need money.
Correct.
You can't function without it. And you came in and said, well, this is crazy that we're paying this level of interest. And remember you having a meeting with the treasurer's office and saying, what do we need to operate so we don't have to do this?
Correct. So you have to remember why I ran in 2019. I ran in 2019 because they broke the cap. They overspent for the jail by $35 million.
50%.
Yeah. By $35 million, okay? And then they overspent their revenues every year they were in office.
Correct.
Okay, so
exactly. They were functioning like a 25-year-old with their first job.
Correct. So they were in deficit spending every year that they were in office, and I said, "This is crazy." Okay. So then I ran on a good slate with a good team. That was Russell's first year. Judge Farrell was running with us. Mikey Brooks, George Conklin,
and you put a legislative team together that. They had different skills, but their common thread was they all had they understood finance.
They understood municipal finance.
Mike Brooks had been president of the school board for several years. George Conklin had been a town supervisor. So you surrounded yourself with people that understood municipal finance. And folks, it's a lot different than just your household budget. The concept of not overspending your revenues
Correct.
is the same, but you get monies from places, but they're put in fixed buckets. You can't
Correct.
just use the state gives you money for blacktop. You can't go out and buy computers for the sheriff's office with it.
Well, you might want to give your buddy down in Highland a call because he spends CHIPS money on everything but roads.
Right.
Okay. And doesn't, and then gets bonds and doesn't put it in the budget. But that's another story for another day.
But, you know, why do we worry about the rules? I mean, they bond without supermajorities.
Well, not only that, they tried to do a bond last week and got turned down. Let me tell you, yeah, when you start getting turned down for bonds,
you got a problem.
it's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming. It's coming fast. Anyway, back to the county.
Back to the county.
Okay, so they took $5.5 million, okay, and used that
At a fund balance.
to put us back to a 9.1. I want you to understand this, okay? You're talking about, it would have been 16 or 17
Right.
without using the money I put away for a rainy day.
Right.
Okay? And it's only raining because these people who should all be arrested for impersonating, a legislator, okay?
Right.
That they do not understand the first concept of how to run a county.
Well, the first concept is be there.
All right. Well, one, you have to be there. Two, you have to read your material. It shouldn't be a shock to you. Like I watched the meetings. Okay. By the way, it's still anarchy in there. I mean, you have people yelling about each other about tapping pens.
No, it's not.
Oh no, it's anarchy in there.
Because we were told by one of the most experienced politicians in the county that we had to return civility and that we put people in office that we could work with. So there must not be anarchy.
It's anarchy in those meetings. It's crazy. And okay, I don't know what they're fighting about. They're fighting about tapping pens and giving away these certificates and all this other nonsense, okay? I was fighting to protect the taxpayer in this county, okay? And I was successful. And I lost my job. And I used to say this all the time. I'm not a politician.
Right.
I'll be the first one to tell you, I'm not a good politician. I'm not here to kiss your fanny.
Right.
I'm not here. But you know what? When you want to go on that vacation, when you want to buy your kid, the little nicer bike at Christmas or that extra gift for your wife, I'm the guy that made sure you had the money in your pocket.
Right.
That's who I am.
And that's what the politicians are all talking about now with this whole affordability thing and whatnot. And it's amazing the way politicians can take history and wipe it and depend upon the fact that too many people get their news in sound bites now.
Well, so this legislature, okay, they, in the first year, I had put $60,000 aside for water testing. Any municipality could have came and got their water tested, and whether it be a lake, a river, a pond in their municipality, they didn't have to pay for it. Sometimes it gets a little expensive, especially when you're doing it 3, 4, 5 times a year and in a couple different spots. And so I'd put money aside.
Protecting natural resources.
To protect natural resources. They took that money out and put it in the general fund, right? Because they were so desperate for money.
Right.
But keep in mind, they've spent all this money. What do they have to show for it? What's better in the county today? What great job have they done that you're like, wow, we are better off today because of...
Well, they got all the labor contracts settled.
They have not. I did that.
Oh, that's right. You did that.
Yeah.
They got more roads paved than anyone ever had before.
That's not true. I did that. I paved more roads than ever before.
Well, they worked with the sheriff's office to make sure that the sheriffs were driving in safe vehicles in these bad roads and came up with a plan for cycling through those vehicles, so they always had safe vehicles.
I had to argue, you remember this, I had to argue with Sheriff Schiff that...
It was your birthday.
Yeah. It was on my birthday.
It was
remember?
on your birthday.
And we were in your office.
Right.
We were in the conference
room.
And I was like, he was like, oh, no, I only want like 3. I was like, Mike, you need 5 cars, okay? You need 5 cars a year.
Right.
Every year you need 5. He's like, well, no. I'm like, Mike, listen to me. We're not playing this game. You're getting 5 cars. In fact, I had as the chairman of the legislature, they had given me a car, right, and,
which never left the parking lot.
Yeah, I drive a nicer car than the car they were offering me, right. So I was like, I'm not driving this car,
right.
So I gave that to the sheriff's office, and so there were payments on the car, right, and the legislative fund was paying for it, and I was like, I'll give you the money, the money to pay the bill on the car. And I'll give you the car.
Right.
And I'll even pay for the police package because, just so everyone knows, the police package is a braking system that because you go at much higher speeds and big tires, you need to stop faster. I mean, that's all there is to it. And so, and we paid for that and we took care of the whole thing. We're like, Mike, here's another car. So we got 6 cars my first year in office.
Well, I think the one thing, though, that we can point to this legislature and a big victory they've had is they've revitalized the college, and they've gotten the college back as a important economic engine in the county.
The college is at the lowest attendance level it's been ever. Maybe the first year, but other than that, we're at the lowest. We're the 800 range. And how many people were there when you went there? When you were working there?
2,000. 2,100. I remember when they went down to 1,700, the president called an emergency meeting of what he called the management council, which was basically the department heads. In the county, the analog would be the commissioners.
Yeah.
And said, we're having an absolute hiring freeze and a spending freeze because we're now in desperate times at 1,700. And that was 1991, 92. It's more expensive today, I would say, and they're at less than half of that.
So everyone that ran, in particular, Matty Niceegg over there, Matt McPhillips, said he wanted to do this, He said, we need more beds for people addicted to drugs so that they have a place to, get better, blah, blah. What was the result? Catholic Charities left the county.
Yeah.
The number one.
But Niceegg's bills did go up. You got to give him credit for that.
62%.
So you got to give him credit. He did accomplish something.
Yeah, he did accomplish something. You want to hear something funny about Matty Niceegg there? Yeah. So they created the Economic Development Committee, and they gave it to Matt, right?
Well, sure.
Right? So that happened in April of 2024.
Well, if he could do for the county what he's done for Niceegg,
well, there you go.
In good
right?
shape.
So they start that committee in April of 2024. Okay, so the meeting's already happened this month, so that's 12 months. So that's 9 months, 21 months. Okay, so they have had 21 months of this brand new, committee, and we're going to focus on economic development.
Right.
Okay. In 12 of the meetings, they have had 0 resolutions.
Well, that's probably because maybe the partnership, they've got lots of things going on. They just can't disclose any of them yet.
Okay. His wife works for the partnership, right?
I didn't know that.
And you know that his committee gave them $100,000. But not to worry.
Well, charity starts at home.
Charity starts at home. So they don't tell you what's going on, the partnership, but the county's giving them $100,000. He runs.
And they were supposed to be self-supporting by now.
Correct. So he runs a committee that they created just for him.
Right.
It's been running for 21 months. 12 of those months, 0 resolutions. Okay. They've only had 14 resolutions
in 21 months.
Okay. And the good news is only one of them failed.
Okay.
Do you know which one that was?
No idea.
Okay. That was the one where he was trying to pay his campaign manager, Jonathan Drapkin, $40,000 for 8 months worth of work to organize the economic committees in the county. That's the only one that failed.
Probably could have given Walter 25% of that, and we would have actually had some economic development.
If you want economic development, call Walter Garigliano. Okay?
Right.
I have his cell phone number. Just give me a holler. I'll get it to you. Okay?
Right.
If you really want something to happen, that's the guy. Okay.
So we'll go back to the county now. We've got a 9.1% tax increase, and that comes on the backs of people in particularly the Village of Liberty took a 18% tax increase.
Correct.
And the town of Liberty is looking at a tax increase, and so many other towns, but not Lumberland, is looking at significant tax increases
Well, I
as
have to tell you, the town of Bethel's a 1.1.
Well,
They
I think
reported
that's well run.
They reported in the paper incorrectly, and I think they had it down at like 11, right, or 10.1 or something like that. It's 1.1.
Right.
Danny does a great job. He, he has to run for re-election again this year. I really don't see anyone. People say to me all the time, "Oh, you gonna run someone against him? You gonna run someone against? Who you got?
Who you got?
Because I know what I have here,
Right.
And he keeps my taxes low, okay,
Which is the key.
and it's a very well-run town.
Well, he keeps the taxes low, but I mean, yesterday I drove through the town of Bethel in the midst of the snowstorm, and the roads were clear and passable, no issue. And that was not the case in every town.
No, it was not.
And it was not the case in some of the towns that have the biggest tax spikes.
Correct. I mean, so if, let's say you live in a town like Liberty, you have the highest tax in the state of New York, and now you're getting a 9.1 from the county. But again, what do you have to show for it?
Not a thing.
Not a thing. Now, I hear people saying, oh, we should do this, you should do this. See, they don't understand how things work.
Right.
I'm going to give you a quick example of it, okay? I've heard several times over the last couple of weeks, oh, we should start charging for the bus system, okay? Because they don't understand how the bus system works.
Well, and you don't understand that you don't choke out one of the few things that's driving the economic engine.
Okay, so when we put that bus system in, we went from historically 5.7, 5.8 unemployment rate,
right,
down into the threes. Okay, we are consistently the lowest unemployment rate in the Hudson Valley, where we used to be the top.
And that wasn't because you had a bunch of engineers that decided to go back to work.
No.
The affecting unemployment generally means making it more feasible for people who say, well, if I go get a job at Home Depot making $18 an hour for a 6-hour shift, but it costs me $40 for a cab to get to and from work, and it costs me $200 for daycare for my child, I'm not making anything. I'm better off staying on welfare. 6 years
after we put the system in, unemployment has, even though the workforce has shrunk, okay, just so let's be clear on that, not the county workforce, but we'll get into that in a second. The workforce as a whole has shrunk, but the rate has stayed the same. It's consistently in the threes, number one.
Which means a lot less people.
Correct.
Unemployed.
We have consistently climbed in the health rankings. Okay, we're becoming a health county through many different things, but one of them is access to care.
Right.
Okay, where if you lived in Bethel, New York, and you're just sitting there twiddling your thumbs, and now you have a doctor's appointment at the hospital, how do you get there?
You don't.
You don't get there, right? You have to ask someone for a favor.
Well, it's not only that, but you got people, we've talked about this, you've got people that have to transact business at the government center. You got somebody that, made a mistake and they've got to get to probation. Correct. Or they've got to get to their substance abuse counseling.
Or they have to go renew their license.
Right. So understand that your concept for Move Sullivan, because originally when you came into office, they did charge.
Correct.
And the ridership was tiny. And now I see that what we used to have these little jitney buses, now we've got full-size buses running around town.
Correct.
And your idea was, this is not a revenue center. This is an opportunity to drive economic development. See, everybody thinks that economic development is defined by how many Home Depots do you have in the county.
Correct.
Your idea was, this is a way that we can drive commerce in the county, and we can get the unemployment rate down, which further fuels the economy. So the bus system for you was part of the economic engine of the county.
Correct.
And if you start charging for it again, and that's what you see a program that's successful, and in all respects, Move Sullivan has been extremely successful.
Correct.
And then what we see is we say, oh, there's a lot of people using it. A let's try to tap into them
No.
and charge them. And that comes back to
a
you
tax.
don't need to tap into them. They're already contributing through sales tax.
Correct.
And through
payroll tax and all that
working
other
and
stuff,
payroll
correct.
tax and all. You don't affect that, but you got to manage your own home so that you're not saddling these people with a 9.1% tax increase, which makes it virtually impossible for young people now to stay here and buy a home here. Because you're talking about, if you buy a home in the Village of Liberty, you're talking about close to 30% increase in taxes in 1 year.
We've had several people tell us you had that lovely home across from you that was for sale.
Yep.
And people looked at it, people that we know
Right.
that were on the younger side.
Yep.
And they all said the same thing. My taxes was more than my mortgage.
That's right.
And the taxes stay forever. The mortgage, will go away, but I'll have that forever.
And that was a land bank situation.
Correct.
Yeah.
So they just don't understand. I'm going to give you another prime example of this legislature. So the old jail stood there, right?
Yep.
And it's not riddled with asbestos like people think it is.
No, it's really not.
It's really
in
not.
In fact, there was more in the airport roof than there is in the jail.
Correct. Because most of the asbestos in that building was the things that wrapped around the pipes.
The pipes,
right. Right, to keep
Right,
them,
and it's much easier to remediate that.
Correct. It's actually quite simple, okay? So we had a buyer for it when we were in office for $100,000.
Correct.
Okay. So this legislature turns them down.
Right.
Turns them down and decides to spend $2 million of your tax dollars, okay, to create an empty lot. Okay?
Yeah.
So now they have in this year's budget, this upcoming budget, the one that you're going to be paying 9.1% on,
Right.
and we're taking money out of our fund balance to get to a 9.1. They are going to spend $2 million to take that building down.
Yeah. And
why
I
would-
don't know they take that building down for $2 million.
Okay, I have an idea. How about you just sell the building? Why would you take a $100,000 profit, okay, and get rid of it instead of incurring a $2 million debt?
Well, and the profit is even more than that. Again, I remember sitting and having the meetings, and
Yep.
you were a big part of the meetings. $100,000, okay, in the county operating budget, $100,000 is not a giant big deal, but that building was going to be converted to, remember the person wanted to buy it said to us, I don't have a plan. What do you want? You want apartments? You want office space? What do you want? Well, we need workforce housing. Okay, then we'll make workforce housing.
Correct.
And so you would have had building materials.
Correct.
It would not have been an IDA project if it was residents. So building materials, did they generate sales tax?
So here's the funny thing about that, and I want you to understand this for a second, not to get off this topic, but it is the same topic. So building materials was never the number one contributor to sales tax when I was in office.
Correct.
It was the year after I was in office and the second year, okay?
Right.
And now that has taken a dip, okay? And that's why you're not at that all-time high that you were at, okay?
Right.
Because you guys just don't understand economics, number one. So that was never the issue, okay? But here's my question. If the sales tax dropped by $5 million, right? And that's what's causing the spike, and I never used fund balance
Ever.
ever.
We tried once.
In fact, I paid off bonds at the rate of $6.5 million a year for 4 years straight, and I banked over $18 million a year every year I was in office. Okay, I was going to the plus of $24 million a year. Okay, while giving you less than 1% a year. Okay, so now this crew is lying to the people and saying. This is what they're saying to you. Oh, it's because sales tax went down from its all-time high, right?
Right.
But now you took the $5.5 million from savings. That should balance you out on the sales tax number.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
But you're still at a 9.1.
You're still at 9.1.
This is still your fault.
And now you got a $5 million hole that you got to fill next year.
Correct. It's a dereliction of duty. They want to sit there and tell you that it's this one's fault. I mean, I sat there and watched the meeting, and Maddie McNiceegg and Nadia and the rest of them were like, "Oh, it's not our fault." No, it is your fault.
It is your fault.
It is. Let me tell you. Nadia was the vice chair, okay, when they overspent their revenues 4 years in a row.
Right.
Okay. They, whatever happens, because they were good people that you could work with.
Right.
And they make her chair. Okay. What did you think was going to happen? She's already showed you who she is. Okay. Now, this is nothing. This is not an attack on Nadia personally.
Not personally,
I
no.
want you to understand this.
No,
okay?
her skill set is just not there in economics.
Who on the board has an economic? Except for Joey. Joey did say out in the public hearing, you guys are lying to the people.
Right.
You guys are lying to the people.
And he's correct.
He is 100% correct. He even brought up the $5.3 million that they take the nursing home back, right? So 6 people agreed to take the nursing home back.
Yep.
Okay. And they're saying, oh, it's not our fault, okay? It's not our fault the taxes are so high. Okay, hold on. You took the nursing home back at a $5.3 million expenditure.
Yep.
Okay? Whose fault is that then? 6 of you voted for it.
Yeah, whose fault is it? Because they've had years now to have sold it. They had a process. They selected with lots of public input who the operator would be. These folks operate many other nursing homes across the country.
Correct.
And operate them successfully. But the attacks never stopped because they were political attacks.
So you had a current legislature,
right,
when she was legislature elect, go up to the Board of Health,
right,
and argue against this operator,
correct,
getting their certificate of need,
correct,
okay? Argued against it, okay?
And she was with other legislators.
She was with a sitting legislature at the time,
right?
Okay. No, he's still sitting. So when you sit there and say it's not our fault,
They created it.
you took on the debt.
Right.
You worked hard to take on that debt. Don't sit there and tell me. Okay. Now I have a question. In the 4 years that the company has operated the nursing home,
I think it's been more than that.
okay, has anyone been denied care?
Nope.
They said, nope, sorry, we can't take you. Has any of that happened?
None of that has happened.
99.9% of this, keep in mind, the census is only like $1.30.
Right.
Okay? Only like $1.30, okay?
And I know some people who have family members in there. You had a family member
Correct.
in there.
Raved about it.
Raved about it. And this was, your family member was someone that didn't rave about much.
Not at all.
And I had a very dear friend of mine whose mom was there and ultimately passed, because that often is what results in you're dealing with a vulnerable population. And this guy, and I love him dearly, and our audience will probably know who I'm talking about, he will complain about anything. If he went to Stewart's and bought a cup of coffee, he'll come out and say, they got these white coffee cups. I mean, can you imagine something worse than a white coffee?
I mean, I'm working with my hands. My cup gets dirty. Then I wash my hands. My cup gets, one of those deals.
Right, one of those. I mean, he complains about everything. He can order a meal in the diner, and the first thing is, oh, the broccoli's cooked too much. It's not cooked enough. I'm like, well, broccoli isn't really meant for human consumption anyway, so deal with it. He raved. His mom was there probably 2-3 years. He raved about that place. He raved about how she was gaining weight and she was healing and she was getting the wound care that she needed. He raved about the place.
Oh, I know someone else that lives down in Mamakating.
Yep.
His wife was in there, and he complains about the time of day.
Right.
Okay? He literally complains about everything.
Yep.
Raved about it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And this is 2 months ago.
But this was a political thing because they didn't even give
But why
them a chance.
are we putting their political nonsense, okay, on the backs of the people of Sullivan County?
Because their objective is to get elected, is politics, and they depend upon the fact, as all politicians do, the fact that the people will be uninformed and they'll get a bunch of fancy mailers in their mailbox the week before election and say, oh, he is a nice person, and they'll go and vote for them again.
Let me tell you about that nice person, okay?
Yep.
Now, I've been described as not a nice person, okay?
I don't know by who, because the people that know you don't describe you that way.
That's correct. That is correct.
And that includes a current legislator who there was a perception that the two of you were always going at each other, and he has said to me how much respect he has for you.
Correct. But see,
And more respect now than he did maybe 4 years ago even.
But see, arguing points
Right.
and calling someone a bad guy are two different things.
Two different things.
Two different things. So when they attacked me, they never said I was doing a bad job.
No.
They said I was a bad guy.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct.
Right? And
That's what Greg Goldstein said.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Well, this is what Greg Goldstein said. He said that I wasn't a leader. Okay?
Right.
Greg, you wish you had me in there now. Trust me. Because you don't need a politician right now. You need a leader right now. Okay? And the person you installed just hammered. But see, he doesn't care. Because he's driving his Porsche, whether taxes are 9% or 2%.
Doesn't matter.
He couldn't care less.
Right.
He doesn't care about the common man. He
Right.
doesn't, as you know, in my businesses, I deal with the common man every single day. I see when SNAP was being delayed in the month of November, okay? And now there's a recertification process, okay? I mean, people sit there and talk about, this pantry, that pantry, that pantry. Nobody gives away more food than I do.
Right.
Nobody.
You've got a grocery store meat market right in the area where there is quite a bit of poverty.
There's a lot of poverty.
Over there.
Over 30%
and
of
people can walk there.
Correct.
And even though you generated a fair amount of revenue by people walking there, you still promoted the buses because you wanted
Correct.
people to be able to get to Walmart and ShopRite, where overall their grocery bills would be lower.
Correct. Installing the bus system hurt my grocery sales.
No question.
Not my meat sales, but my grocery sales.
Right.
Okay. Dollar General, they were jumping up a few feet down the road from us.
Right.
They have not hurt our grocery sales, oddly enough,
Yeah.
which I just find odd. But
Because you anticipated it would.
yes, so did other people that
Yeah.
I find to be very, very smart, and it has not.
Yeah.
Which I'm shocked at. Okay. My grocery bills are the same every single month. The funny thing about that business, 3 years, year over year, we were within $100 of sales year over year. 3 years in a row. You could have picked one out of the hat, and, and that's what it would have been. But anyway, so the point being is that they tell you one thing, and they do something different, right?
Right.
They incur debt, right? They take on this. Keep in mind, the nursing home is not budgeted anywhere. Anywhere. So I have a question. Where do you get the $5.3 million
Well, I
from?
have another question. Where are you getting all the nurses?
Okay. I'm just wondering, what are we doing here, folks?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, you are under contract. Mm-hmm. You are under contract. You break that contract, you're going to meet Saul's attorney. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
All right? And you're going to lose that case.
You're going to lose that case.
Because you went up and you fought against them.
Right.
Okay?
Right. You prevented him from getting that certificate of need, which was a trigger that they had to have a certificate of need within a certain amount of time. But they acted against. The reality is, as a legislature, you're in a fiduciary responsibility. You're responsible for...
people don't understand that.
Yeah.
They do not understand
that's right.
that.
You're responsible for acting in the best interest of the county. So if your personal interests are at odds with the county's best interest, you've got to step back from your personal interests or step back from the county. But you can't be both.
So how many times did I vote for something where you and I had discussed it before,
Yep.
like, I am dead set against this,
Several times.
right? But I said, this is the right thing for the county. I disagree with it, okay?
But you did that only after talking to all of the commissioners, getting both sides of the story, playing devil's advocate, saying, well, if I advocate for this, what's the response?
Mm-hmm.
You were fully informed because you were there 60 hours a week.
Correct. I don't think all 9 are there 60 hours a week.
No.
On meeting weeks, if you added up all their time, I don't think they get to 60 hours.
Probably not.
When you watch Nadia, and I'm not picking on Nadia,
Right.
I'm just pointing out facts. When she's reading resolutions, you can see that's the first time she's reading them.
Yep.
That is not something like when you like I would do this, especially with you, especially early on, because remember when I was first chairman, I had just come off in the March of that year. I just come off a major, lung surgery.
Major.
Major.
March 2nd.
Yeah. So they, it was a major surgery for me, and I would walk through on pronunciations of names or words because
Right.
I was in a little bit of a brain fog then, to be fair, and then I was getting beat up, right, by people for not wearing a mask.
Not wearing a mask.
And now 6 years later, it was all a hoax.
It was all a hoax.
It was all a hoax.
Just kidding.
Just kidding. All right. By the way, you could send your apologies to me any day you want.
Any day.
That's all right. Okay. I'm on Facebook. You could call one of my businesses.
IonSullivan@gmail.com. Send your apologies this
you
way.
You can send your apologies because it was all a hoax. You guys were
Right.
dead wrong. Oh, by the way, my doctor who gave me the note that said you are not to wear a mask, okay, because you need a fresh exchange of air, right? Remember that, Liz Kennedy? Remember that conversation? You can apologize to me now. Oh, yeah, that's right. You were a nurse. Okay, that's right.
Right.
Please.
Right.
Clowns. So my point being is that they get elected on this mission. Mm-hmm. First of all, they lied to you when they got elected, and we're going to go over that in January. Okay?
Right.
Okay. You take someone like Matt, right? Okay, Matty Nyseg there. Okay, who works for Nyseg, gets paid $189,000 a year to work for Nyseg.
And there's no way that his interests for Nyseg and his interests for the county are not at odds.
They are
quite
at
a
odds
bit.
because when legislator Bernardo wanted to do a resolution
Right.
against Nyseg,
Right.
okay, only the clerk and 8 other legislators knew about the resolution.
Right.
He took that resolution and forwarded it to his counterpart in the Mid-Hudson area, who then wrote a scathing letter against Terry. The only way they got that information was by Matty Nyseg, transferring, the
information.
Emailing the information.
Little insider trading.
Yeah, to Dylan, whatever his last name
So
is.
Matty Nyseg, of course, could not publicly advocate in favor of Nyseg.
Correct.
And so he just passed it on to a counterpart.
Correct.
To make sure that opposition was there, because I'm sure that's what Nyseg wanted.
And hide the fact that he works for Nyseg.
Well, of course.
Peter Oberacher's been out there hammering Nyseg. Josh Riley's been out there hammering Nyseg. Paula Kay's been out there hammering Nyseg. Where's Matty Nyseg?
He's been silent on it.
Okay. On his website, when he ran for office, he said that him and his wife, he was talking about affordable housing.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Now, keep in mind, he's on the land bank now. Okay.
Right.
Okay. And you could sit there as the former county attorney and tell 10 stories of the land bank that would make people's head spin. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Their ineffectiveness is incredible. Okay. Because they're not following the mission. But I understood how RIPCO worked. I understand how these other organizations worked. So I took $2 million and I put it into a housing fund.
Right.
It was an assigned fund, okay? So we understand how municipal government works. If it's in an assigned fund, it must be used for that. It cannot be used for anything else. You then, in the budgetary process, can take it out of that and put it into the general fund, which they have done with this $2 million.
Only in the budget process.
Only in the budget process.
It can't be done just willy-nilly.
Yeah, you can't be like, I want to buy a new truck and we're going to do this.
Right.
So I put $2 million because RUPCO usually comes to you and says, hey, we want to do this project in your town, village, county, whatever, but you need some skin in the game, okay? And we never had the skin in the game. We never had the money to do it, right? So I said, and you remember all the projects. The old hospital in Thompson and Monticello, this project, that project, and we never had the money.
In fact, I remember we're now going to blend something. When we were having the discussion about selling the jail, some of the legislators said, well, no, because now that these guys are developing the hospital, they may need the jail for some other part of that new operation. Well, there hasn't been a single brick moved in the hospital.
Zero.
And now they're going to spend taxpayer dollars. And, I have a lot of faith in Ed McAndrew and in Christian Janowski. And they told us 3 years ago that it would be more than $2 million to pull that jail down. So this could be another situation where we're budgeting and then we're going to get word July and August, oh, well, it cost us more than we thought it was going to cost us. So, sorry, we're over budget by $1.5 million.
So here's my question. It's going to cost $2 million. Do they stop when the bill gets to $2 million?
Yeah,
and
probably not.
Wherever it is, and you just leave it, right?
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen. But anyway, so Matty Niceegg says that him and his wife, two working couples, she works for the partnership. Mm-hmm. He works for Niceegg.
Right.
Plus he gets his $35,000 and change from the legislature. Oh, and by the way, I don't know if you know this or not, they both get their health insurance from the county.
Oh, well,
not their employers.
Wonderful. Right.
But they get it from the county. Okay.
They probably get a buyback from Niceegg.
And they probably get a buyback from Niceegg, right? Okay, so you, the taxpayer, not only has he whacked you with 62% increase in your electric bill, not only has he whacked you with 30% increase in your garbage bill, not only has he just whacked you 9.1% on your tax bill, he gets his health insurance for him and his wife from you.
Well, and he's still working, so the 62%, that'll go up.
Well, wait till February.
Wait till February.
Rates are going to go up again in February.
The peak of the heating season.
Yeah. They get. Oh, and remember that lie they said to us? So Niceegg says to us, and it was an article last February 14th in the Democrat, where they talk about the rates went up because it was an unseasonably cold winter. Okay, but you know me, Mike.
Yeah.
You know me. So I have to go look this up.
Absolutely.
Right? So I foil some information. Mm-hmm. You know that year over year, heating costs. So you know how heating works,
sure.
Right?
Yep.
So heating's broken down, okay, into diesel fuel, gas, and then heating sources, right? And so that could be coal, it could be wood, it could be pellets, or it could be gas and oil that's used to heat you. That did not go up year over year.
Right.
So anyone that doesn't use electricity, they didn't feel it. They didn't feel it, but only the people who use electricity did, right?
Right.
No, because they were lying to you.
Of course.
They were lying to you, and then when the summer rolled around, they were hoping that you would forget about it. But that's the whole game. But Matt's a nice guy. Don't worry about it. So he said that him and his wife could not find a place to live, even though they were two professionals making professional salaries.
Right.
Okay.
It's a terrible thing.
Terrible thing. He writes that you can go Matt McPhillips for legislator. You can go right now on your little phone, and it'll come up.
Go look at it, folks.
You can go look at it. Okay. Go down to housing, and that's what he says. Mm-hmm. But here's the lie about that, Mike. Mm-hmm. They had bought the property that they now live on in 2022.
Right.
Okay.
And he ran in 2023.
Okay. And he put the plans to build the home he now lives in Bethel, New York, in 2023. So he had no intention of finding a house to buy.
Of course not.
Okay. That's a lie, because he built the house while he was running for office, and he rented a home in White Lake Homes, during that time frame, so he could be legal in the district.
Now let's drill down on this conflict of interest.
Okay.
You brought in and met with the assistance of the IDA and Walter Garigliano, several commercial operations that were interested in developing in Sullivan County, because the electricity cost was lower here than it was on Long Island or even Rockland, Westchester.
That was Central Hudson and Loco, yes.
Right. Okay. So now here comes Matty Niceegg.
Yeah, Matty Niceegg.
He comes around, and we talk about a conflict of interest. He works full-time for Niceegg.
Yeah.
That's what put him in that nice house that he built in Bethel with his wife.
Brand new home. Not 2 years old.
And he's advocating their increased rates, which crushes our economic development, because one of the real advantages, and we don't have a lot of advantages because we don't have a commercial airport, we don't have the trucking lanes and whatnot, but one of the real advantages was electric. Correct. Companies that depended on electric were really looking up in this area.
Correct. Ice makers and
the like. And so Is there a conflict of interest between the two? Yeah, because when the electric rates went up, we lose that advantage.
Correct.
And we lose the hundreds of jobs that would come with that advantage.
So obviously we're 100 miles away. We're 89 miles away from the largest market in the world.
Right.
Okay. What do we have? We have land, and we had cheap electric rates.
Right.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's what we had.
That's what we had.
Okay.
And you go with what you have.
Correct. So there's an expensive living here. Okay.
Yep.
And doing business in the city. Another one of my businesses is doing, we deliver into
the city?
Into New York City.
Right.
I sell local farm product into New York City.
And that's why warehousing is the wrong move for here. And we advocated that not to hurt the partnership, but because
the partnership's a boondoggle. If you go on loop.net right here, right now, right, put in Middletown, New York. Mm-hmm. There's over 1 million square feet available.
And folks, what's close to Middletown, New York?
An airport.
Yeah.
Okay. go to Newburgh, New York.
Right.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Go to loop.net. Go to commercial and hit in warehousing. Okay. Over 2 million square feet available today, right now. You could move down there tomorrow if you wanted to.
And people that you consulted with, experts in warehousing and trucking, said Sullivan County, not a good place. It's too far from an airport.
Correct.
You don't put a warehouse 60 miles from an airport because the cost of warehousing is measured by the cost of trucking.
Correct.
So these people that are promoting warehouses are totally out of touch with what people that are investing in warehouses. I mean, we're not talking about a guy that's got a little electrical business and needs a storage unit. We're talking about warehousing. We're talking about something on the scope of what Kohl's did.
Correct.
And they did that at the furthest east point in Sullivan County. I know Bloomingburg's a little further east. You understand what I'm saying? Is they didn't build it in Callicoon or in Liberty.
They couldn't.
They put it there, and they couldn't.
Well, because you have access to 84.
Right. It's right there.
You have access to 17, obviously. Okay. And let me tell you, they're very good neighbors because they run their trucks at certain times of the day.
You don't see any traffic.
On purpose.
Correct.
Okay. So that when you're on 209, is that 209?
209, yeah.
Right. So when you're on 209, I only go over that road, several times a day.
Right.
I think I would know. But anyway, so when you're driving on 209, right, you don't really see the trucks that much because they have it timed perfectly and they figured out how to do the system. Mm-hmm. But the economic development in this county is next to zero because you have people in charge that just want to say, I'm in charge of economic.
Correct.
The only economic development going on in the Economic Development Committee in the legislature is Matt's family's economic development. That's the only one going on right now, okay?
Well, that's important.
Okay? He was making $60,000 a year with Aileen, and now he makes $189 plus another 30 and change and has his health care paid for.
Right.
He's doing well.
Doing well.
Things are going well for Matty.
Yeah.
Matty Neiseg is killing it, okay?
Yeah.
Like we talked about a couple of months ago in the job report, okay? So the SCVA, Sullivan County Visitors Association,
right?
When the year before I came into office,
you destroyed them.
Okay, got less than $1 million.
Right.
Okay. Mm-hmm. When I left office, they got $3.1 million. Okay.
I don't know how they could even have survived.
They tripled what they were taking in.
Right.
Okay.
And did nothing else for it.
Nothing else for it. Correct.
I mean, they weren't said, well, we're going to give you 3 times the amount, but we're going to expect you to do 3 times the work. Oh, no. Same operation.
Same operation.
Just 3 times.
So now they want to give them $4.2 million. $4.2 million, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, if you remember the report that we had run that time, there's 100 less jobs year over year in the hospitality field. So we have a shrinking hospitality field, but you need another $1 million, and the taxpayers are paying for that?
Right.
Okay? But I'll tell you one thing that did grow by 100 jobs.
The county.
The county workforce grew by 100 jobs. Okay, that's not a lot of jobs, right? Okay. Each job is worth about $85,000. That's $8.5 million. Okay? And on top of that, there's legacy costs. So as these people go through their career,
right,
they retire.
Sure.
And then you have to give them a check every month, and you have to give them benefits in retirement.
And even though they get the retirement through the state system, the state will charge the county
Correct.
for those legacy costs.
Correct.
So every once in a while, I remember Josh would come and say, well, we got the letter from the retirement fund and we've got to pay an additional assessment of $2.8 million.
Correct.
And that continues as long as you have retirees.
Now, the funny thing I think about this $5.5 million and this $2 million for tearing down this building, it's going to turn into $3.5 million, I guarantee you.
No doubt.
The extra $1 million to the SCVA, and they're throwing money around like it's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's nothing.
By the way, did we get credit for that, for them having that extra $1 million?
No. Robbie, the bad guy.
The bad guy.
Yeah, the bad guy. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, remember. You remember when you're buying the extra little nice gift for your wife or your kids?
Mm-hmm.
It was me who created the
put
money.
it there, yeah.
Okay? So the other thing is that they on the garbage rates, they upped it by 30%.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they got a $10 hike, $11 hike. It was 10 and 1.
Right.
And the $1 was only because of the deal that you and I worked out, right?
Right.
So it was the 10 and 1, right? And they up it, by 30% more than what their original cost was.
Sure.
All they're doing is whacking the hell out of you in this
Everywhere.
county.
And these are all hidden taxes.
You cannot afford to live in this county anymore.
No.
It is unbelievable. Someone has to, we need, in the next election, okay, and I'm telling the people now, I'm most likely not going to run.
Correct.
Okay?
You're not here trying to be a politician.
I'm not a politician.
You're not a politician. And you have said to me, even privately, why would I want to put my life at risk? Put your life at risk. You say, well, yeah, have you met my wife?
Exactly. Okay, let me tell you.
And and my wife and your wife spoke last Friday.
I know.
And both of our lives would be at risk.
Let me tell you
if
something.
either of us even breathed about the politics again.
If I said to my wife, honey, I'm going to run for legislature again, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The last words I would hear would be, how do you reload this effing thing, okay? That's what I would hear.
Yeah, what you would hear, right.
Those would be the last words I ever hear, okay?
Right.
Because she would kill me,
right.
Okay? But someone needs to run against Matty Niceegg.
No question.
Okay? Someone needs to run against Kat Scott. Mm-hmm. Someone needs to. Brian McPhillips sat in the meeting, right, sat in that public hearing, a week ago, and said 9.1% is not high enough. It should be 15, 16%. Okay. Right?
Well, that's consistent because we had legislators that, when you were under 1%, were wanting to raise it more.
Correct.
And again, it's multifaceted. There was lots of your vision. Move Sullivan was generating money. The opportunity to not spend $2.5 million, and it's going to be more than that, folks, to tear down the jail. And that would have added workforce housing, which would help and make economic development more appealing. Because, right now, I represent some corporations, and I want to tell you, as the county attorney, we heard about the need for workforce housing. Now representing corporations that employ people, there is no place for people to live. No, you need workforce housing in this county.
I agree
and I'm
with
not
you.
talking about low-income housing. I'm not talking about creating another homeless shelter. I mean a place where young people making $80,000 a year can live.
But that's where they're spending their money.
Correct.
They're trying to spend. Oh, let's take this grant.
Yeah.
To do this homeless shelter.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, we're going to put, it's a grant, which, by the way, is a boondoggle, okay?
Of course it's a boondoggle.
Okay? So what happens is they give you a grant for $2-3 million. You say, okay, and then you got to operate the thing for eternity, okay? And that's how you lose money. Okay?
And you've got to secure it. Correct. I know there was a talk about building this thing in Liberty, and I'm saying, hey, hold on a minute here. The PBA in Liberty does an amazing job, but they've already got 4 high crime areas that have been created by the homeless situation.
Okay, let me tell you.
Let's move it to Fremont. George will take care of the roads, and Kat Scott will take care of the facility.
I have an idea.
Yeah.
Maddie is so hot on this whole, low income housing
Herd
deal.
Road's a perfect
No,
place for
I mean,
it.
let's put it in the Highlands where he lives.
Oh, that's okay.
Let's put it there,
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't want to disturb the $400,000 homes there.
Right.
But this is what he wants.
That's what he wanted.
Right? I mean,
That's what he ran on.
that's what he ran on, right? I mean, that's what he said was going to happen.
Right.
Right? I mean, we need workforce housing. Let's put it, in the Highlands. There's a lot of empty land up that way.
Right.
I'm sure we could work this out.
And that'd be convenient for the workforce to live in an area where they couldn't walk to place get food or whatever.
Couldn't get a cup of coffee.
Couldn't get a cup of coffee in a white cup or a red cup.
Correct.
So, Rob, there's a lot more that we need to do to drill down on this budget to let the people of the county and the audience here at Ion Sullivan know exactly how the budget works and exactly where the money is going and what the effects on it are. Like, you're chairing economic development and you're working for NYSEG, and NYSEG's rates are driving economic development away from us. You're tearing down a jail that was an opportunity for economic development, to create workforce housing, to create sales tax revenue for building materials, and have a very nice operation right there in the village, paying property taxes and operating. And they give you this cock and bull story about, we've got to build a new courthouse there.
No, you don't.
Well, says who? Says who? So now the state of New York is the tail that's wagging the dog? As you said, the state of New York's not coming to bail you out. We got to take care of ourselves.
Correct. I've said that forever.
And so you're going to kowtow to the state of New York when they say build a new courthouse? There's lots of land here. Maybe build a courthouse where the jail is, because wouldn't that be convenient? Or you had another plan we'll talk about another day. But what this legislature is doing is they're saying, don't blame us, but they keep making decisions that are causing these cost increases and the decreases in revenue.
Correct.
So, folks, there's going to be a lot more that we will drill down on as we get into January. Last words on the budget.
No, I mean, so this will air long after they vote, but, I've already spoken to, as a Republican chair, I've spoken to all the members in our caucus, and I believe they're all going to vote no against it today.
So the vote is today. Today is the vote, and Jacob, if he wakes up, Jacob will get this out on Spotify sometime today, but probably not in time for the vote. So, folks, if you enjoy the content, if you find this informative, find that this is helping you understand your county government, go ahead and leave us a comment. If you disagree with us, leave us a comment. If you think it's prudent for the county to spend $5.1 million to get back into a business that the county knows nothing about and operate a nursing home when the county failed at operating a nursing home once before, if you think that we are wrong, if we're missing something, if you think Matty NYSEG is creating an advantage for the county by virtue of the fact that he works for NYSEG and he chairs economic development, drop us a comment. Let us know. If you are watching us on YouTube, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe. We want to get the subscriptions up so that you can, in real time, can chime in with your opinion of what Rob and I are saying. We thank you again for listening. We'll have another episode before the holidays, but we are in the holiday season, so we remind you to drive safely out there when you go to holiday parties. Be sure to have a designated driver. And be sure to also share this link, the whole link, please. Share the link on your platforms so that we can get the word out. And again, if you disagree with us, let us know. There's a seat right next to Rob where anybody, including John Pizzolatto, he can talk about what the county can talk about destroying the jail, and John Pizzolatto come talk about destroying the town of Highland.
Whoa. He's going to have his hands full.
He's going to have his hands full. So, on behalf of the chairman, Rob Doherty, this is Mike McGuire, thanking you for joining us for this episode of Ion Sullivan. We'll be back next week with another edition of Ion Sullivan. Be safe, folks.